We're going to begin the class. It'd be a good idea to take the glasses off and don't fall off. In semi-supine. So pressing the feet into the mat, lowering yourself gently onto your back. Suggest you use your hands to support. And arrange your spine on the ground. Start to engage with your breath. It may be helpful at this point to put your hand on your belly and observe how when you inhale, the belly should dome. So I know I've said this before, but the Western obsession with squeezing our belly in, I must have a flat tummy, is not conducive to deep breathing. So while you're at home on your own, or with your loved ones, let it all hang out. It may be that we've all been overeating a little in lockdown, but equally in times of great stress, it's really important to breathe. So as you inhale, allow that belly to rise, and that will give your diaphragm space to draw down. And that gives you space within the rib cage to get a decent lungful of air. And as important as inhaling fully is a deep and complete exhalation. Breathe out the sludge of toxic memory. Let it all go. You don't need it anymore. Watch the breath. Feel that movement all the way from the nostrils down to the pelvic floor as your muscles respond to the need to obtain oxygen. Next time you inhale, float the arms up so the fingertips go towards the ceiling. And exhale as you draw the hands back down again. In your own time with your breath, inhale as you lift up. And exhale as you draw down. Next time, if your shoulders feel okay about it, you can take the arms a bit further, but make sure that you're not massively arching in the back. So do this movement gently and slowly. Using your breath and listening to the body. Making sure that if the arms are coming all the way overhead, your rib cage isn't flaring out. Tuck your lower ribs gently back in towards your hip. And without massively slamming your back into the mat, try and make sure that it's not rising away too much. There'll be a little bit of natural movement as you inhale and you make more room in the rib cage, but you don't want that at this stage to develop into an arch. We're keeping it nicely slow and controlled. Exhale. So next time you exhale, bring your hands to your hips and leave them there. Inhale, draw one knee into the chest and take the foot across the opposite thigh. We're going to do eye of the needle pose. Flex your foot and draw through the gap between your legs and grab the other thigh so that you're drawing your knees in towards your chest. You should feel a nice stretch in the outer hip of the flexed foot. Make sure you flex this raised foot, drawing the toe towards your knee as much as you can. That's going to protect your knee. Nice stretch for the outer thigh. This is eye of the needle pose, Suturindasana, or thread the needle pose. This is also an alternative to pigeon pose, which we're going to do in class. If you don't like pigeon pose, good alternative. So from here, bring the raised foot back down to the ground, reach around for that foot and tuck it in towards your hip, and then stretch the other foot up to the ceiling. So you might just want to have a quick look at this. You've got one foot tucked in, opposite hand to foot, and the other foot raised. Point the toes. Inhale, and as you exhale, flex the foot and draw it slowly down towards the mat. Now keep your pelvis nicely grounded here. So your foot may not come all the way down, May come about halfway down. You might decide that's enough, or you might decide, how far can I go without my back rising up? I'm going to do 5 of these approximately. If you only want to do 4, you want to do 6, it's up to you. I've lost count anyway. So we'll do 1 more. If you want to, don't have to. And then inhale, draw that knee in, gently unravel the lower leg and tuck that in as well. So drop the other leg down, flex the foot, take it across so that the outside of the foot comes to the edge of the thigh. Thread the needle so the hand goes through the gap, the triangular gap between your legs, and clasps the thigh behind. Or you might, if you're very flexible, clasp the chin. But if that means you bring attention into the shoulder girdle or the neck, then stay with the thigh. Flexing the foot, drawing the toes, the baby toe particularly back towards the knees, going to give you a different sort of stretch. Make sure you're still breathing. Couple more breaths here. And then you're going to reach around for that raised foot, draw the foot down towards the floor and stretch the other leg up to the ceiling. So make sure you're on the other side. There's a strong stretch for the hip here, and I'm feeling it in the thigh as well. Point the toe. Inhale. As you exhale, flex the foot, start to draw it down. And again, I'd advise maybe don't go all the way to begin with. If you're doing the class live, it's still quite early in the morning. When as you start to draw the heel closer to the floor, it's going to slow things down a bit and make that arc a little bit bigger. So make this one your last one. Draw your knee into your chest, hug your knees into your chest, roll gently from side to side. And then from here, holding onto the backs of the thighs, roll yourself up to a seated position or come up any way you can. So here it might be handy to have a block in front of you. You're going to sit cross-legged, or if you can, take your upper leg across, flexing the foot like we did in Suchirindasana and trying to stack your calves one on top of the other. That's a little bit stronger in the hips, so stay with normal cross-legged. So have a look at whichever leg's on top. Take the same arm underneath, stretch your other arm on top, bending at the elbow. Bring the backs of the hands together, or maybe you can bring the palms. So eagle arms, those of you who know yoga. Set up your eagle arms. Inhale, open the chest. So we're tilting back. Watch your neck here. Keep your chin tucked if you can. Keep it in line. And then as you exhale, bring your forearms down to that block. Some of you may not need the block. You can bring the elbows all the way down to the floor. And breathe deeply here. We inhale again and we come up. Stretch the arms up and over. Open the chest. Keep the hips grounded. And exhale as you come down. Stay here in your stretch or go for one more. Inhaling up and exhaling down. Unravel the arms, come up to seated, unravel the legs, and we'll go on the other side. So flexing the foot, simple cross-legged position, or you can advance it by coming into Agni Stambhasana, fire log pose for the legs and eagle arms. So same arm as top leg out in front, other arm comes across, bend at the elbows, palms together, backs of the hands together, lift. Inhale, exhale, fold. Stay here, feel the stretch. We'll go for a couple more bends. Inhaling up. And exhaling. Inhale up. exhale down. Stay here for a little, 2 or 3 breaths, feeling that stretch in the hips. And then gently unravel the arms. Come over onto all fours. We'll have a couple more stretches here. Rounding the back in cat-cow. So we're flexing here and extending, just to make sure your back is completely warm. And now come forward onto your belly and prop yourself up on your forearms. So here, pay attention to your lower back. Internally rotate the thighs, so you're opening this sacroiliac area here, and tuck your tailbone down. So what you really want to avoid here is creating a weak spot in the lower back. You want to draw your crown away from your tailbone, create as much length as you possibly can, draw your belly button up away from the floor. So get your spine as long as possible and then draw the chest forward. So press into the hands, draw the elbows back and draw your chest forward. Sphinx pose. Good preparation for back bends. Keep drawing your belly button in and your tailbone down. So what you'd never want in back bends is to overextend, to crunch the base of the spine. That's the easiest area to bend. So you want to spread the load over your whole spine and not create a weak spot. So when engineers build bridges, some of you probably are engineers, you can tell me I'm all wrong. So put that in the comments box if you'd like. But I understand that it's important to spread the load over the arch or the dome if you're making a dome. And if you don't spread that evenly, you create a weak spot, and that could lead to collapse. So from Sphinx, bring yourself down to the floor, bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press up onto all fours, tuck the toes and come up into downward facing dog. Take a couple of deep breaths in downward facing dog. Heels to the mat, buttocks to the ceiling, chest to the thighs, head and shoulders relaxed. Press into the fingertips, take pressure out of the wrists. Inhale, float your right leg high up to the ceiling. Exhale, bend both knees, draw it forward and bring your right knee to your right thumb. We're coming into Ekapada Rajya Kapotasana, one-legged king pigeon pose. So here, a block under the right buttock might be useful. We're bending here. We're opening the chest as a pigeon does, and that's going to give you a back bend again. Avoid loading the lower spine. So draw yourself forward first, lengthen the spine, and then see if you can lift. If you're loving this, try bringing the hands to prayer. If that's already too much of a load, then come forward and rest your forehead down on the mat or on your forearms. We're not here for very long. It's a powerful stretch of the hip. If it's too much on your knee, go for Sucharindasana. We did at the beginning of class. And similarly, if you're rolling to one side or the other, use blocks to even yourself up or a folded blanket. Breathe deeply here. Inhale, press into the hands. Release that knee, draw it up to your chest, send it up high into three-legged dog, and then draw the leg down. You can take a quick breather here in child's pose if you want to. From downward dog, we're lifting the left leg, we're bending both knees, we're bringing it forward, we're coming into Ekapada Rajya Kapotasana. Wrap the shoulders back and down, same options as before, with the block, with the hands in prayer. So it's a real stretch here, and you want to keep trying to get your hips level if you can to stabilize the pelvis. Come forward and rest your forehead on the mat or on your arms. You can have a block here if that's more comfortable for you. Couple more deep breaths. And then to come out of it, press into the hands, tuck the back toes, lift that thigh up towards the chest, high up into three-legged dog, into down face dog. Pedal through your down face dog, and then walk the feet to the front of the mat into Uttanasana forward fold. Exhale deeply here. Inhale, take the arms up and over. Exhale into Tadasana. So we're coming into our sequence now. We will be doing some back bends and some twists and some balances. So from the front of your mat, inhale, arms up and over. Exhale, come back into Uttanasana, deep forward fold. Inhale, bend both knees deeply and take your right leg back into a lunge. Be light in your fingertips here, square off the hips, power back through that heel. Then come up and open into Warrior Two. Tuck your tailbone under here. Open your chest, eye gaze down your front fingers. Inhale, flip the front palm, lift up, draw the back arm down. Vipariti Virabhadrasana. And then from here, you're going to lift your back heel and come into your crescent lunge, Alanasana. This is quite tricky, especially if you're on a very spongy mat. Draw your inner thighs together. Right arm forward, left arm back. Come into revolved crescent lunge with or without a back bend here. Inhale back into your crescent lunge. Exhale, now you're going to draw your back leg forward and wind it all the way around your front leg into eagle. I'll show you that from the front. So the right leg comes across the body. Maybe you can wrap your feet around so that your right toes come around your left calf. Arms, as we did before, right arm underneath, left arm on top. Find your eagle. Now here you really want to sink your tailbone, tip your tailbone under, sink down into the standing leg if you can, and keep your chest open. So if this is too much for your standing leg, your option is to keep your toes on the mat. You can't see my toes. Okay, so you can keep your toes on the mat here. Otherwise, you're going to try and wind them around, wind the arms around. Keep working to tuck the tailbone under. One more breath here. And then unravel the foot and come into Warrior Three. So pressing your heel away, pressing your fingertips away, trying to get your hips nice and square. From here, float the hands down into standing split. So Warrior Three to standing split to lunge. You can take your time if you're good at balancing, if you like a challenge. If you're hating it, go straight down into lunge. Sooner or later, we're all going to go straight down into lunge. So we'll do that now and complete our sequence by taking the front foot back into plank. My regulars, you know exactly what you're doing. If you're new to this, bring your knees, chest and chin down to the floor and tucking the toes. Slide your chest forward into cobra. Draw your elbows in. Exhale into downward facing dog. And from downward facing dog, you can walk, lunge or spring to the front of your mat. Exhaling when you get there, inhaling up and over, exhaling hands to your heart center. Okay, we're going to do that on the left. I'm going to change ends to make it easier for you to see me. Stand into Tadasana at the front of your mat, feet hip distance apart. Inhale, take the arms up and over, press the palms together. Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, bend both knees, take your left leg back into lunge. Square off the hips here, really important. Remember what we did on Tuesday, the difference between closed hips and open hips. Inhale, we open the hips. We're in Warrior Two now. Inhale and exhale, see if you can get a little more deeply into the pose. Pay attention to your tailbone here. Tuck it under. Inhale, flip the front palm. Vipariti Virabhadrasana, stay low in the hips. From here, lift the back heel, rotate to the front of your mat, and come into your crescent lunge. Left arm forward, right arm back. And then you can take the bend if you want to. Inhale back into your lunge. I'm a bit wide in the legs here. I've got a long way to go to get that back leg in, up and round. You can take several steps if you want to. And we're coming into eagle. So you want your left leg wrapped around your right. Take a deep bend in the right, or you can keep your left toes on the floor. Tuck the tailbone under, very important. Left arm underneath, right arm on top. Find your eagle arms. Tuck under. Couple of breaths here. The next 3 moves are warrior 3, standing split, and lunge. So do them nice and slowly if you want to. If it's too much, go more quickly. We unravel from here into, you don't have to do the hopping, that's just me adjusting position, into warrior 3. And then standing split. And then lunge. And then go through your sequence as before. Lunge to plank. Plank to chaturanga or knees, chest, chin. Inhaling to upward dog or bhujangasana. Exhaling to downward facing dog. Inhaling, you can walk to the front of your mat or you can lunge. 1 foot followed by the other, or you can leap. We exhale, we inhale, we come up and over. Press your hands to your heart center. Good. Okay. So I was going to do, yes, we have got time. We're going to do a balance here. So it's really helpful if you've got a strap handy. It's also helpful if you've got something to lean on. So if you've got a wall handy somewhere or something else you can lean on, I'm just going to rest my hand here on the piano so that you can see me. Inhale, draw your right leg up towards your chest, left hand rests somewhere. Take your hand to the back of your thigh and stretch your leg out in front. So if you've got a strap, loop it around the ball of your foot, Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. If you've got very long arms, maybe you can take hold of your big toe in Yogi Toe Lock. Stretch away. Inhale, draw the knee into the chest, and exhale, send that foot out to the side. So you might not need your prop here. It's quite handy to have your balance here. Work on opening the hip, but keep tucking the tailbone under. Find calm in your breath. Inhale, draw the knee in, draw it to the front, and release down. So we're going on the other side. So again, have something to lean on if you can find something. And draw the left knee in. Loop your strap around the ball of the foot, or you can hold on to the back of the thigh and stretch out. Or maybe you can get Yogi Toe Lock and stretch forward. Maybe you need something to hold on to. Maybe you don't. Use your breath. Inhale here, and then come out to the side and exhale. Find your ekagrata, your single point of focus, to give you calm. Inhaling, coming back in, and exhaling to release. Okay, we're coming down to the floor now. So come down into a kneeling position. I'm just working out what I've got to miss out because I've run out of time. Let's do our back bend, because I promised you a back bend. So let's come down onto the floor. You can start in all fours if you've got any issues with leaving your belly on the floor and you don't like bow pose. This is your option, is to slide opposite arm to leg and reach around for the foot and lift your chest, your knee and your foot. Otherwise, come down onto the mat, starting from where we were in Sphinx at the beginning of the class, and stretch one arm and one leg away. Further option, if you want it, is to stretch your hand around for your foot and lift up into half bow. So those are your options. If you're on your knees, it's opposite hand to leg. If you're on the floor, same hand as leg, for obvious reasons. Release and go to the other side. Opening the chest, lifting the thigh, lifting the foot. And then exhale down. So if you want to, you can do one more round either side, or you can do double. Try and draw your inner thighs together, wrap your shoulders together at the back of the body, open the chest, lift the collarbones, maybe lift the eye gaze, maybe lift the feet, maybe lift the thighs. Make sure you're still breathing. And exhale down, take a rest. Inhale, press the hands underneath the shoulders, come up to all fours, cross the feet at the ankles, and stretch your legs away. So we've got one more back bend. If you've had enough, come straight into Shavasana. Otherwise, sit up here. Press your seated bones into the mat, sit up as tall as you can. Take your hands behind you, fingertips pressed towards the buttocks. Draw your shoulder blades together and puff out your chest. Maybe that's enough. If your triceps and your wrists are strong enough, press into the hands, take the knees forward, lift the buttocks up, make the body long and flat. Purvottanasana, tense stretch of the east side of the body. If you want more, you can stretch the feet away, press into the feet, press the toes down into the mat as you lift the buttocks and you arch here. It's quite strong. So stay there as long as you like. Come into the lower option or stay here, working your upper chest forward. The choice is yours. When you're ready to come down, sit up in Dandasana, stretch the arms up and over and fold into Paschimottanasana. Breathing deeply. So we're nearly out of time. So if you wanted to do that sequence again of Purvottanasana, Paschimottanasana, you've got that choice. Otherwise, we're coming down into Shavasana, pressing the feet into the floor. Tuck the tailbone under. Gradually connect your vertebrae to the mat one at a time, tucking the head in, bringing that down last. And find semi-supine on the mat. So if you're feeling you've worked your lower back, if it's feeling like, gosh, I've done some things I haven't done for a while, if you felt new movement there, stay in semi-supine. That will support your back. You can support it further by knocking the knees in together a little bit. Or if you're happy to stay here with your feet supporting you, then stay here. Your back's absolutely fine and you'd like to come into full Shavasana, take the legs away one at a time. Let the hips float out. Bring your attention to your sacroiliac region. So that's the area where the base of your spine, in a triangular shape, slides in to your pelvis. Your iliac crest, your sacroiliac joint. It's a sliding joint. It's quite easily upset. So just bring your attention to that. Imagine in your mind's eye creating space in that area. Space and softness. So as your hips fall open, it's not impinging on that area. And we have to remember that in yoga, when we stretch, all our sequences have built-in counter poses. Stretch and counter stretch. When you stretch one area, you don't want to impinge on another. Never at the expense of something else. That's why I nag so much, because it's important that we don't free up one area by compromising another. Everything in balance. You need every bit of your body to work as well as it can. No point being able to get your foot behind your ear if that gives you chronic back pain. What would be the point of that? So especially at this time when you're doing your own practice without teacher nagging in your ear, look after yourself. If it hurts, it's not yoga. It's your ego doing its thing, pressing onwards and upwards, trying to achieve. So in Shavasana, when we let go of everything, let go of that too. Breathing deeply. So it's now 8 o'clock. If it's time for you to go to work, then have a blessed and wonderful day. If you can give yourself the further blessing of another 5 to 10 minutes in Shavasana before your busy day kicks in, then do that too. Shavasana is a great gift, a great reward for our practice. So take it if you can. Wherever you are, I hope to see you next week. The classes are continuing through July, I'm happy to say. So let me have your comments, and I hope to see you soon. Namaste.